and welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, and really special day today, all the way from Hollywood, California. We are joined by Erin Brown Thomas and Kelly Vroman. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
I think it's interesting, first of all, since this is called Our Community, we do want to point out that you both hail from around here, around these parts, both Ohio grown. And friends from Malone University, tell us, first of all, how did your paths first cross, gals?
Gosh, Erin, I think we were both involved in the Open Frame Film Festival in its inception at Malone University. But our paths really crossed very far apart. Like, we had a lot of the same friends, but I was a year older than she was, and we just never, it just never really... We never really found each other until we moved out to LA, and we've both been living here for multiple years.
A long time now, about a decade, I think. Both of you have been out there that long. So
No, I just moved out here 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And but wow, in those 3 years, you've really done quite a bit there, Kelly. Let's go back a little bit, if I can talk to each of you about some of the projects that you've done prior to what we're going to get into, which is very, very cool as well. And I do want to say that they're joining us because the Cleveland International Film Festival is going to be opening up tomorrow and going through the week, and you're going to want to go up to Cleveland and see some remarkable films. It's always a very interesting and awesome time. Kelly, fans of Sprout TV would know you as Kelly. And from the Sunny Side Up show and the Chica show, how in the world did that get going?
Oh, my goodness. It was such a cool thing. I still remember the first audition I went in for it. I didn't know what to wear. I thought, well, I'll wear bright, colorful clothes. It's kids' TV. And Sprout was still such a fledgling network at the time. And now it's huge. And it's an NBC network. And it's like a really big deal. And I went in and I just put my hair up in pigtails because I was like, I don't know what to do. And the casting director who had known me, I'd come in for a number of commercial auditions and other TV things. He pulled me aside and just said, hey, everybody's trying to talk to the kids like the kids are idiots. Just talk to them. Talk to them like they're your friend. Don't put on a baby voice or anything. I was like, okay. So I went in, and I have a big improv background. So, of course, I was playing around and joking. And at one point, my belt fell off. It was this rubber belt thing. It fell off. And I just cracked a joke and kept going. And apparently, it was just this kind of series of unpredictable events that led me to booking the gig. They loved my pigtails. Those tested super well. The fact that I kept going when my belt fell off, and the fact that I had a relationship with this casting director who gave me this last-minute note as I was going into the room are the reason I landed the job.
That last-minute note of just be yourself and don't talk down to the kids.
Yeah. Well, what's awesome with kids is that kids can smell fake super fast. They're like, if you're not being you, kids are like, this is weird. So it really challenged me as an actor early on to be able to just be me and to be able to openly celebrate other people, because they basically on the show, they would say the kid is the other character in the scene. You're talking to the camera, you're talking to the kid at home like they're there with you. Let's just talk. Let's have it, be genuinely interested in their involvement in what you're doing. And I think that's such a valuable lesson for actors in general. Whenever you're in a scene with somebody, whenever you're interacting with a person, or even if it's a monologue or whatever you're doing, you just have to live the most real you, but then also be genuinely, be listening super hard at what the other person is saying, be genuinely interested in what they're saying.
I just heard a beep. I want to make sure we didn't lose Erin. Are you still there, Erin?
Nope.
Okay, good.
I am here.
What you're saying then, I think, is so interesting, too, because I don't think we realize how much preparation goes into it. That's an awful lot of thought that you just said. As we're watching children's television, I don't know that we realize that much thinking has gone into it, but it was very innovative as far as programming to have something that was live across the country where children could interact with the actors on the program, and then you're also talking to a chicken puppet as if that's another person as well. How difficult was that?
It set up the expectation of well, now I can act with anything.
Give me a dog, give me a puppet, give me whatever. I'll be friends with it.
So interesting. And Erin, you've done such cool projects as well. Bring everybody up to speed on. It's hard to keep up with you. Some of the things that you've been working on in the past over the 10 years that you've been out there.
Sure. When I first got out to LA, I got my start editing and worked on a big Marines commercial. From there, that was around the time that the recession happened. And that's when I decided, instead of sticking with any companies in terms of being an employee, because a lot of companies were kind of falling apart, that's when I went freelance and started directing and editing freelance. And I'd say the first kind of wave of interesting projects came when I started doing music videos. I worked with a lot of big celebrities on an editorial position, like Keane or Enrique Iglesias, the Olsen twins. You can look at my website, workbyerinbrown.com, and see a lot of this. But in terms of kind of putting some passion projects together, I worked with a band that's local to Akron, Ohio, The Strange Familiar, and did a ton of music videos with them, including one that got picked up by ABC Family for broadcast nationwide, both on TV, also on their website, and also in theaters. They played the music video that was incorporated footage from the show The Secret Life of the American Teenager in theaters around the country to promote that show. I bring up The Strange Familiar because I think a lot of the the listening audience here would probably know them, but if they don't know them, you guys should look them up because they make amazing, wonderful music. They are Christians and they bring a lot of their faith into their music, but they've also had a lot of mainstream success outside of the Christian circle, and they also play lots of shows locally because they hail from Akron. And they were there was a good 5-year period where I was working with them a lot and doing music videos while they lived out in LA before they moved back to Ohio.
So very cool. I remember rooting for them when they were on America's Got Talent as well, and they are so good. So the Cleveland International Film Festival, Erin, this is not new to you. You've had things appear in this. You want to tell us some of the things that you've already had screened at the CIFF?
Sure. So this is my 3rd year going. 2 years ago, I went with an action comedy called Hotwire, which was a Walter Mitty type of story about a guy who imagined his date going down like an action movie. He was diffusing romantic tension in real life, but in his mind, he was diffusing bombs. So sort of reminded people of how the stakes of love feel very, very big and feel very, very elevated when you like someone and you don't know how they feel for you. That was a very playful, fun movie. And then last year I brought one of my aerial films, and it was called Once Upon a Dream. You can see it online if you just do a search for Once Upon a Dream and Selkie, Selkie, and it should pop right up. It was a aerial music video, sort of, but really sort of an experimental film, a story told through aerial choreography. And if you don't know what aerial is, it's like what they do in Cirque du Soleil, where the ribbons hang from the ceilings and you do acrobats in them. And I've done a series of them. I'm actually, in about a month, going to be releasing my newest one. But Once Upon a Dream it's sort of in a haunted forest, and she does this routine. And the story is different for each person that watches it, but you get a sense of sort of a haunting backstory.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was really fun. And like I said, I am releasing a new one soon. I just filmed it 2 weeks ago in Vegas. There's this guy, Daniel Wood, who owns a room that continually rains. So it's like being inside a room of rain. And he produced a video, I directed it, and I will be editing it. And the aerialist, Selkie, she did, for 2 straight days, she did these aerials in freezing cold rain with a blindfold on. She's incredible, and I'm really excited to release that one pretty soon.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait to see it. I think for people who live in Northeast Ohio, we don't realize nationally how respected and prestigious the Cleveland International Film Festival is because it's in our backyard. But for you out in L.A. to get accepted to the CIFF, that's a big deal, isn't it?
Absolutely. And
yeah.
specifically,
I was actually in the airport the other day and overheard someone talking about a film that he was going to some film festival in Florida with. And, you know, like your ears perk up. You're like, oh, we have something in common. I'm going to talk to you. At least that's what I do. And I went over and we started chatting each other up. And I said, yeah, we're actually going to be premiering at the Cleveland International Film Fest. And he goes, oh, you guys should be very, very proud of yourself. That's very hard to do. And I was like,
cool?
Yeah, you know it.
Well, we want to get into exactly what that is going to be about. But how now? I think people would be amazed that your paths then crossed out in Los Angeles. And I remember seeing something, I think you were just live streaming or something, and someone asked you, how did you two meet? And you said, oh, back in college, we both went to Malone. And my goodness, if I were still doing PR for Malone, that would have been up on the website like the next day. That was just the most heartfelt, wonderful thing. But talk a little bit about coming from a Christian community and then spreading your wings and going out to Big Bad LA?
I think the reason I took so long to get out to LA is because I still think I had that kind of idea of the Big Bad LA. I was too scared to move to New York or LA, which is why I ended up in Philadelphia. Fortunately, they also had some nationwide television they were producing in Philly, so I was able to get a foothold in the industry. So, I mean, Erin's braver than I was. She came out here and was like fearless, but it took me a little bit of time. But I think I always grew up with this idea of it's my responsibility to tell everybody about Jesus and salvation, and to, in every way that I do, like everything that I make, that needs to be my message. And I think that was such an intimidating thought for me, and I think it was somewhat incorrect or limiting. What I mean by that is limiting. But if I think that the only way for me to share Jesus is by me choosing my words, or those like, you need Jesus, you need salvation, this is who this is, I'm going to make a movie that says that, that's limiting. Whereas God's love exists in so many creative ways. It exists in like the beauty in this Ariel movie that can speak to different people in different ways. It exists in me treating someone who's just there to like bring coffee to people on set, me treating them well and like asking them about their day and what their goals are. Like Jesus exists there in the industry. I think once I realized that, I felt so much more encouraged and excited to be a Christian in the industry, because that's stuff that I know I have the gift of doing. Like, I have the ability to talk to people. I have the ability as a storyteller to tell something funny that might also get somebody to ask some questions about themselves and their life and explore things a little bit more and maybe be a little more open to receiving some love and hopefully showing love as well.
Lots of opportunities out there to be his hands and feet, right? I mean, you do come across people, a lot of folks who are in need. And you have, I know, Erin, you're so involved with the Ecclesia Church, and opportunities out there to meet the needs of people who are in need out there. And it's what I hear you saying, Kelly, it's more who you are and reflecting him rather than in the talk all the time, but walking the walk as more important.
Well, and everybody has, obviously everybody has their way of doing it. My dog is just losing its mind right now. But I think it's that wonderful. Who was it that said? Was it Frederick Buechner who said something? And I'm gonna totally mess up the wording. But that your vocation is where your greatest talents meets the world's greatest needs. And that's such a. Once I had that wording, it kind of cleared things up for me. Great, I'm a storyteller and I'm a comedian. People need to laugh, and people want to find common stories that bring us together. Oh,
yes.
I know how to do that. Oh my gosh, I can serve God and do that? Yeah.
And didn't Jesus tell stories? And didn't he make people laugh? And wasn't he just one of those people that everyone just wanted to be around because he was so charismatic in his personality, I think, as well? We have got to take a little break here, but we're going to be back after these few moments. We're visiting with Aaron Brown Thomas and Kelly Roman. You're listening to Our Community.